Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Deibler and Mrs. Marsfelder are going to read you two very different stories that's on the same topic, ants. Mrs. Deibler is going to be reading you a fiction story about ants, and Mrs. Marsfelder is going to be reading you a nonfiction story about ants. Now, I'm going to share with you some of the anchor charts that I shared with you in a couple of the lessons before today. Here's the anchor chart on a fiction story. So when we read a fiction stories, we hear about characters and events. We also read to entertain ourselves. It might make us happy or sad. It might make us laugh or cry. Number 2, we have to read a fiction story in order. We have to start at the beginning, go to the middle, and then the end. Number 3, there's different story elements in a fiction story. We'll have characters in a fiction story, and the characters are the people or the animals that our story is about. It'll also have a setting, where the story takes place and when does the story take place. A fiction story has a problem and solution. What went wrong and how did the problem get solved? It also has a plot. What happened in the beginning, in the middle, and the end? What are the important events that took place in the story? The fiction story will have an author who wrote the story, and it also will have an illustrator who drew the pictures. Our nonfiction story. Here's some of the features our nonfiction story will have in it. We definitely read a nonfiction story to inform ourselves. It gives us information. Number 2, we can read it in any order. You don't have to start at the beginning, go to the middle and the end. You can start anywhere you would like. Number 3, here's some of the text features in a nonfiction story. We'll sometimes have a table of contents telling us where we can find the information. It sometimes has a glossary, and that tells us the meaning of those important words. We might see a diagram in our nonfiction story, and that's just a picture with a label. We might have some bold words. Those are words that really want to stand out, very important words. We might also have maps, charts, and graphs. And every story has an author, and even a nonfiction story has an author. And what's unique about a nonfiction story, most of the time, it's real pictures. Okay, I have my nonfiction story, and the topic that we're going to discuss is ants. And the title of my story is Ants, Ants, Ants. And in the nonfiction, we see real pictures. So on the title, I already see real pictures. Ants, ants, ants. There are lots of different ants. There are black ants. There are red ants. There are green ants. There are leafcutter ants. Leafcutter ants carry bits of leaves back to their nest. There are bull ants. There are honey ants. I guess I didn't realize there were this many type of ants. Ants can be found in the house. And ants can be found in the sugar. Ants like sweet things to eat. Many kinds of ants can be found in their nest, looking inside an ant nest. So my nonfiction book has a diagram of what an ant nest looks like. And this is down below the ground and all the different rooms that the ants have in their nest. This is a queen ant. There are worker ants. There are large worker ants and smaller worker ants. Large worker ants look for food. Smaller worker ants stay home and look after the queen. Long lines of worker ants look for food to take back to their nest. Ants, ants, ants. ants are almost everywhere. And look at this index, kind of like the table of contents that shows you what you're looking to find out and which page would you find it on. So my nonfiction book did have a couple of the text features that we learned about with a nonfiction book. It had real pictures, it had details and facts in it, and I even had a diagram and an index on the back. So boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed, and now Mrs. Deibler is going to read you a fiction story about ants.
Hi, first grade. It's Mrs. Deibler coming to you from her kitchen today. And Mrs. Marsfelder just finished talking to you about a nonfiction book about ants, didn't she? And I'm sure you learned about the different parts of an ant. We have a head, we have a thorax, and we have an abdomen. Now, since we've been talking about fiction and nonfiction books, Mrs. Deibler found a fiction book with ants in it. Now, if we are talking fiction, we're talking fantasy, right? So, the book I found is called 100 Hungry Ants. Now, as I'm reading some of the pages to you, I want you to stop and I want you to think, what makes it a fiction book? What makes it fantasy? What things can't we really see? Are you ready? Here we go. 100 Hungry Ants. A whole hill of hungry ants, their faces all aglow, came swarming from the forest to cross the field below. Can you see that? A soft breeze fanned the sunshine and whisked them on their way. It hinted of yummies for their empty tummies. That means a picnic. Hooray! There we have the 100 ants. 100 ants were singing and marching in a row. We're going to a picnic. A hey, a hidey ho. Now, if you look on this page, guess what? You see the chipmunks talking to each other. Do you see chipmunks talking outside? I never have. Stop, said the littlest ant. We're moving way too slow. Some food will be long gone unless we hurry so. With 2 lines of 50, we'd get there soon, I know. Now again, looking on this page, you see ants talking to each other. I've never seen an ant talk. All the ants raced here and there, up and down and to and fro. There'll be lots of yummies for our hungry tummies, a hey and a hidey-do. 100 ants were singing and marching into rows. We're going to a picnic, a hidey-hidey-ho. Now they're in 2 rows, and look on this page. You see a bunny carrying mustard. You see a mouse carrying a pickle. You see a bird carrying grapes. Are those things that we see outside right now? If you were to look outside, no. Stop, yelled the littlest ant. We're moving way too slow. More of the food will be gone unless we hurry up. So the 4 lines of 25, we'd get there soon, I know. All the ants raced here and there, up and down and to and fro. We hope they're yummies for our rumbling tummies. A hidey-hidey-ho. Now Mrs. Deibler is going to skip a couple pages just to get to the end, and I want to show you some pictures. I can't turn the page very well, though, either. 100 ants were singing and marching in 10 rows. At last we're at the picnic, a hidey-hidey-ho. So, now look at this page. I wanted to point this out to you. The turtle's carrying cake. The snail is carrying a strawberry. Then we have the ants in 10 rows. So let's count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 100 ants, they're all there. 10 ants in a row. Stop, yipped the littlest ant. We've traveled way too slow. There's no food for us to eat. You took us way too long. All the ants raced here and there, up and down, to and fro. There aren't any yummies for our growing tummies. A hidey-hidey-ho. Oh no! look it. No food left for them. "99 ants were swarming from each and every row in hot pursuit of little ant, who quickly turned to go. 'It's not my fault, you know.'" So, that was that book. Now I thought it was his fault because he made them stop to change how they were walking. Now, I want you to think, what part of this was fiction? The ants talking, the turtle with the cake on his back, the snail with the strawberry, the bird with the grapes. Now, ants do go after our food though, don't they? They do. So some of it could be real, but then most of it isn't fiction. It's been nice seeing you, boys and girls, and I hope you enjoyed my book. Mwah.